but my completely non-gaming topic is my love of theater. Aside from video games, it has been the other big passion of my life, and for really about 10 years, I basically set myself on a career path to, I wanted to run a theater company. That was what I rewind. We got my gaming history earlier. Back in high school, I was a musician for many years. I started playing in band in fourth grade. I was a clarinetist for a year because when I was in fourth grade, you couldn't just go to drums. You had to play a woodwind instrument or a horn if you wanted. You had to do that for a year first. So I played clarinet for a year, and then I immediately switched to drums in fifth grade and played drums and learned music. So I played like the xylophone, I played marimba, I played bells, I played timpani. Other people just wanted to play and like bang on the drums. I was the musician. I was the percussionist. I was not a drummer. I was a percussionist. That's the way I would put it. Because I was the one that would go and play for the orchestra as well. I would play the band concerts, and I would get recruited to play the orchestra concerts, where I would bounce around and play bass drum, snare drum, timpani, xylophone. I played. I always enjoy telling. I went to Disneyland, got to play in Disneyland with my middle school orchestra. We played "My Heart Will Go On" in the little Mary Poppins-esque little cafe thing, open air cafe off of Main Street. I distinctly remember being the drummer and playing "My Heart Will Go On" time and time again for that year. I will never not think of having played that song whenever I hear that song or whenever I see Titanic. So yeah, I was a percussionist, and in high school I was in marching band. I played with the orchestra there, and one of my friends in marching band did this big push one year to get a bunch of us to go and join the choir. And so my sophomore year I joined men's choir, and so I did that on, like, it was 2 days a week, kind of before and after school kind of stuff, and I would go and sing in concerts there, and then had a good enough time doing it that junior year I joined the varsity choir, and I was a bass in choir. And that was also the year, every year they would do, like, the theater program would switch off. So one year there would be a musical, then the other year there'd be like a Shakespeare or classic play. And so this happened to be the year they were doing a musical. We did Oklahoma, and basically if you were a guy who was willing to go and sing, you got cast in the chorus. So I was in the chorus of Oklahoma, and that was the first play I did, musical. Because of my percussive background and my rhythmic background, I was one of, I think, 4 guys that could learn the ragtime number with its little tap dancing stuff for Kansas City. And so I got to be a featured dancer in the show as well as a chorus member. Had a lot of fun doing it. And so when my senior year rolled around, I started doing theater more as well. I did, in addition to band and choir and everything. I was kind of the jack of all trades in the arts, and so I did You Can't Take It With You, and I did Midsummer Night's Dream. I was in both those shows in minor supporting roles kind of thing, and had a great time doing that. And so when I went and started at ASU for college, I spent a year not really sure what I wanted to do. I started out as a computer systems engineering major because I thought, hey, I like video games. Maybe I'll want to make video games. Did not want to make video games. I would much rather play video games. The most complex video game I made in that year of computer systems engineering was a game of tic-tac-toe. I programmed tic-tac-toe in, I don't remember if it was Java or C++, but I did it. I got an A. And then I was like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. So I switched to theater because that was where I was having more fun. I was working with the sketch comedy troupe my first year at ASU, kind of on the side as an extracurricular. And I was like, but I'm savvy enough to know that there's not going to be a career for me in theater. So I'm going to also get a business degree. And maybe I'll run my own theater someday. That's what I'll do. And that was kind of what I set myself on a path for. And I did that for years. Ended up graduating with my theater degree first. And even then, this was 2008 now, spring of 2008, I graduated. I said, screw it, I'm not going back. I got my degree, I'm done. And then the economy collapsed, and I was like, screw it, I'm going back. I'm going to go get that business degree. So I ended up getting my a Bachelor of Arts in Theater and a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. Worked in the solar field for a couple years doing data management stuff, but then I was like, I need to get back into theater. I was all through college. I was I would do pretty much anything because I wanted to run my own company. I was like, okay, well, I want to act, I want to direct, I want to be able to build sets, I want to be able to design lights, I want to be able to design sound. The only thing I didn't do was costume. I always deferred to people with better talents than I did in costume design. But I got to work as a student worker. I worked in the scene shop building sets. I was a carpenter for our theater company, or the student theater, the main stage theater, the department theater, and then I also became the head of the student theater for a couple years, where we basically were given a space by the department and we were given free reign effectively to produce shows in there. We were given like a small few $1,000 budget every year, and we would take submissions and invite people to submit shows that they wanted to produce and direct, and we would put them on for a weekend or so. And I had a great time doing it. It was basically I got to do what I was dreaming of doing. I got to put that in practice in school. I loved my theater classes so much more than my business classes at the time, because in theater classes everybody knew everybody. It was a very intimate affair, sometimes too intimate. But in my business classes, I was just another one of 500 people, and so none of my teachers knew me. I hated group projects because it was always, okay, you 5 people are going to work together, and really only one of you is actually going to do any work, and that one was usually me. I freely tell people that I did way more work for my theater classes than I ever did for my business management classes. I would have to write a 20-page paper on theater history compared to a 7-page paper that 5 of us were writing. Again, 5 of us were writing in my business classes. So it was laughable how the caliber of student that comes out of the ASU WP Carey School of Business is not to be flaunted. It's not to be touted. Those are the people who are managers for I don't know, like insurance companies and Walmarts and stuff like that. You're not getting cream of the crop if you're getting a WP Carey school, because they just crank them out. And there's no attention to what people are getting. You're getting mostly people who most of the graduates from that program got through that program on the backs of other people, the really hard workers, and that sucks. And I was also the one in that whole program who wanted to I was like the only one who wanted to do nonprofit arts management. I was a black sheep in both of my worlds, because I was in my business classes, I was the one saying, no, we should support the community. Like, companies should give back to the community they serve. It's not, not just for PR. It's just good business to support your community, and not just try and engulf all your profits. And then in my theater classes, I was the one sitting there saying, society doesn't owe the arts anything. Like, you have to prove yourself, and you have to prove that you are a valuable product to society. And that didn't go over well with my bohemian artistic friends. I was effectively Benny from Rent, and that was back when I loved Rent and thought Benny was the bad guy. It wasn't until years later that I was like watching it again, and I was like, oh, shit, no, Benny's got a lot of great points. Yeah, no, let's go ahead and get paid to do this art stuff. Don't be freeloaders, stupid Mark and Roger, slackers. Um, but yeah, I love theater. I got involved in the local theater scene, going out and doing plays occasionally and stage managing stuff. Um, I was the uh, I was the I was on the board of directors for a company in town called Stray Cat Theater, which I love very dearly. I've seen every one of their shows, seen or worked on every one of their shows for the last 10 years, since I first started seeing their work, got introduced to them in college, and was immediately hooked because they do what's typically deemed as like edgy work, edgy quote unquote. They do effectively like off Broadway. They're not doing Cat on a Hot Tin Roof or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They're doing plays that one of my favorite experiences that I did with them was a play called The Flick, and it was a play. It was a 3-hour play, and probably an hour and a half of it is just awkward silence because the play focuses on these 4 characters, mostly 3 characters. I played like the cursory 4th character that comes in later in the show. So it follows mostly these 3 characters who are they're basically the ushers in a movie theater, in one of the last film theaters before things started going digital, and it's the conversations that they have as they're sweeping up the aisles after the last show of the night kind of thing. It had a very mixed reception when it first got produced. We were the second production of it, I believe, second or third production of it in the country. But it later got awarded the Pulitzer Prize for drama for that year. So I cherish that memory because I've got to be in a Pulitzer Prize winning play before it won the Pulitzer Prize. I got to be in a professional production of it. We didn't get paid much, but we got paid. And yeah, I will take that with me. I am in a very weird elite group of actors that have ever performed that show, because it's not very often done, because you basically have to build a set that is a movie theater where the audience is the theater screen effectively, and that's a costly thing to do. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that I love to do. We also did very funny, crazy off the wall shows. Like one of my other favorite experiences with them was a play called Twelfth Night of the Living Dead, and it's taking Shakespeare's Twelfth Night and throwing zombies into the mix. And so you have Viola, one of Shakespeare's richest female characters. Her ship on the way to, I think it's Illyria, wherever that show takes place. Her ship gets struck by a meteorite and turns everybody on board into a zombie. So she shows up, top of the show, pretty much a zombie. But everybody around her is saying their Shakespearean dialogue and responding to her as if her groans and moans are the lines that she actually says in the original Shakespeare text. And slowly but surely, everybody else gets devoured, turns into zombies. It was just a fun show because we had a splash zone. We had a lot of kind of gore special effects. When I got zombified, Viola bit me on the neck, and so I had a squib in my hand, and I grabbed my neck and like burst the squib and spray the first couple of rows with blood, and scream a blood-curdling scream as I get drug off stage by my hair. So yeah, that's kind of the broad spectrum of the stuff that Stray Cat does, and I've loved everything I've seen or done there. And so I served for about 4 years with them as a board member, and that was a great honor. I got to serve for 2 of those years as the president of the board, kind of help lead them in the strategic plan of the future of the organization. And yeah, so I've gotten to play Romeo and Juliet. I got to choreograph my own fights in that show, my own sword fights. which was a ton of fun. I love doing stage combat stuff. I got to I got the last role that I did, and the one that has kind of it didn't sour me on it at all, but I've kind of stepped away from theater more in favor of the video game community. But the last role I got to do was I got to play McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is the Jack Nicholson role. If you're familiar with the movie, the lead role of the show, a lead role of the show. I argue it's the lead role of the show, but if you have an argument that Nurse Ratched is the lead of the show, I can understand that justification. But it was a great show, great friends that I worked on it with. Horrible theater space. It's a theater in this town that I just do not. They are what I hate about community theater, because they basically put all their money into their children's theater, but they do this adults theater stuff on the side to bolster their credibility within the community. But actors are treated like crap. The tech is treated like crap. The space itself, it was like we opened during the monsoon season, and final dress, water is dripping down into our theater because they dripping through the lights in our theater and risking electrocuting us on stage and our preview audience because they just didn't put any money into it. They just put it all into the children's side of the theater, and yeah, it just I hate that theater. I'm not gonna name names, but it's not too hard to find. And yeah, they are the epitome of what I don't like about community theater. Whereas Stray Cat treats everybody like a professional. They treat everybody using the Actors Equity guidelines, and you get breaks at certain intervals, and they like Stray Cat goes above and beyond and provides food and water and stuff to their actors to make up for the fact that we couldn't pay them all that much. You get a gas stipend, but the arts are not. You're not going to make money in the arts in Phoenix, especially in the last 10 years, basically, since the economic collapse happened. I've watched theater after theater after theater close, and it's just really disheartening to see, because it's almost always been bad management has led to the death of the arts in Phoenix. There are a few companies still going, but we've been hemorrhaging for years. And so I just have grown so weary of fighting that fight that I have walked away for the time being. I still go out and see shows. I still support Stray Cat, but it's a battle, and it's a battle that we've for the most part lost. But there's hope in the theater world as a whole, and maybe in one of these other episodes I'll delve into my love of Hamilton as the potential saving grace of the future of the theater, because that is a phenomenal show. Lin-Manuel Miranda is one of the most creative artistic geniuses of our time, and I wish nothing but success for him. I hope I can see the show Hamilton at some point in time and not bankrupt myself doing it. Until then, I will just continue to listen to the show ad nauseum, always hearing new things, always loving new things about it, and appreciating that it is reinvigorating the arts in our society that have recently fallen on, okay, let's find a movie from the 80s to remake into a musical, or let's remount Cats again, or Phantom of the Opera, or Les Mis. Let's do the millionth version of Shakespeare, but not really add anything new to it. Let's just do, let's just do a gender swapped Shakespeare. And it's like, I've seen 3 of those. So I've grown weary of the arts and the pretension in the arts, and I think that's why the pretentious audience still is out there supporting Hamilton, and that's why it's atrocious that there are tickets going for that show for like $1,200, because the audience that needs to see Hamilton to fall in love with theater and think and provide a future for theater does not have $1,200 to spend on a Hamilton ticket. That is a show that needs to be out there for everybody to see. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be well produced. But there's hope when that, especially when it goes on tour, especially when the rights get released and it can be done in communities. That's where I think you're going to see a reinvigoration of the arts in America. So there's hope. And yeah, that's theater. That's my love, sometimes hate of theater. And it's another one where I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk for an hour or however long I've been going now. Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't know. Hour, 15 minutes, whatever. I owe my experience in theater to that. I owe my ability to go with the flow and improvise and just kind of take things in stride when everything else goes wrong, because that's like from my first shows in theater, from Midsummer Night's Dream, there would be cases where somebody would forget a prop, and I would have to. It was an essential prop that I referred to in this scene, and I would have to ad lib in Shakespearean tongue the dialogue that I was supposed to read from this scroll or something like that. Covering for other people, helping your cast out when somebody goes up on a line. I'm the kind of person that when something went wrong, I then think of all the other things that can go wrong and come up with contingency plans for them. But eventually I also just shift to, well, whatever happens, we're going to make it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to proceed. And it's not just me. It's like so many people that I've worked with over the years have been able to do that and cover for me when I go up on a line or something. So it's an incredibly collaborative medium that I am incredibly grateful for, because it has helped make me who I am and bring me to the ability to potentially do this thing that I'm doing. Go out there, entertain people, think critically. Oh God, theater, if nothing else, theater helped me be an empathetic person and see the world from so many other viewpoints, and there's always these articles will always get thrown around. These studies will show that, the arts, the arts are good for community financially, but it's the ones where the arts make you a better person that always hit home with me, because they teach you empathy. They teach you literally putting yourself in somebody else's shoes in a role, seeing stories that you wouldn't otherwise see told, experiencing art. It made me who I am. Even if I never do another show, I will always remember fondly even the shit times I had in horrible shows with horrible directors that I just wanted to punch in the face. I made incredible friends. I had incredible experiences, and I am a better person because of the theater that I did in my life, and the experiences I've had there. So I think that's a good note to end theater on. Theater. Jazz hands. For those of you listening, I'm doing jazz hands and spirit fingers. It's mostly spirit fingers. You're not missing anything. Don't watch this. It's you who are watching it, you're fools.